A cautionary tale that I think that we all need to pay attention to and can learn from with this whole Nicki Minaj Turning Point USA situation is the dangers of falling for the hype behind your so-called exceptionalism. In other words, like, don't allow yourself to fall into the belief that you're one of the good ones. What do I mean by that? So a lot of times we will see folks from marginalized communities who were able to make it through the glass ceiling, like they were able to make it through a crack in the glass ceiling. So we see folks like a Nicki Minaj who came from a Black immigrant community in the hood in New York, who was able to make it into, the top couple of percents of income earners in the US, right? At a young age. And so she ends up becoming Republican and all this kind of stuff. And over time, you start to believe your own hype. Now, let's be clear, Nicki Minaj is extremely talented, but how many other extremely talented Black women are there in New York alone who are Nicki Minaj level, who just were not able to make it through that same crack, right? And then you add to it all dynamics around colorism and featureism and all kind of other stuff. And this is why self-awareness is so important. And this is why it's so important that we never allow the oppressor to allow us to become the so-called exception that proves the rule. We'll hear people be like, well, Oprah did it, Obama did it, why can't you? And it's like, come on, fam. Like, we cannot use these exceptions to prove the rule that the glass ceiling doesn't exist. They made it through the crack. You see what I'm saying? And so we have to always acknowledge and recognize that. And, I know in my own experience, what that has looked like is like calling BS. Like, I remember when I went to grad school, I went to Northwestern University, which is, and I didn't even know this at the time. At the time, it was like number 8 school of education in the country. And I'm from Oakland. I'm from East Oakland. I went to Castlemont High School. And those, from here know that Castlemont, we have a certain reputation, Title I school, a lot of systemic challenges. And I ran into a white man, a young white man from Piedmont, which is a very affluent community outside of Oakland. And we were talking about the fact that we were both from the Bay. And he's like, oh, where'd you go to school? I said, Castlemont. He's like, oh my God, you must be so smart. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, if you went to Castlemont and you made it here, you must be so smart. And I was like, I mean, I am smart, but there's a lot of smart people who went to Castlemont, So, and I can give you many examples of that. But anytime anybody tries to do that, you got to shut that down real quick. Don't allow yourself to be used as one of the good ones. Makes clear, like, look, I'm here. Yes, I'm smart. I'm talented. But let's not act like there's not a whole lot of talent and genius that is trapped.